Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sports Talk in the Burgh. Today is Wednesday, November the 8th, and we have a great show for you tonight. I am your host, Kevin Plaucha, and in studio we have our trio of expert panelists, hockey connoisseur Finn Lyons, NBA junkie Jesse McCullough, and passionate NFL observer Casey Irwine. Now, leading off tonight's topics is the star Pittsburgh Pirates third baseman Ke'Bryan Hayes, who recently earned his first Gold Glove of his career. Hayes beat out Ryan McMahon of the Rockies and Austin Riley of the Braves. Finn, the next step for young Hayes is the Platinum Glove. Do you think he wins it?
Unfortunately, I don't think so. Listen, it's a fan vote. Pittsburgh is not that big of a market, and I can think of someone else who's in a bigger market who has arguably just as good as stats. Dansby Swanson, just as good as him. I think it comes down to the fan vote is why he's not going to win.
But still, I think Ke'Bryan brought so much to this Pirates team. It's why they were in contention for a lot of the early part of the season.
I agree that he's really good and he might even deserve it. I just think it comes down to the fan.
I just, honestly, even if he doesn't win it doesn't really matter to me. He can win, he cannot win it. It don't matter to me. I know what I saw. I saw that he led all qualifying NL third baseman field percentage. I saw that he had the most defensive runs saved in the entire MLB at 21. I saw that he was named the inaugural Fielding Bible Defensive Player of the Year. He is literally.
Where's he getting that?
He is.
He is the
he's the Moses
God
of
himself.
third base.
The
Moses of third base, Ke'Bryan Hayes.
Now I can't even hate on you because he's fifth in defensive WAR, which is 2.4. And the rest of his team, the next highest overall wins above replacement for his team is 2.6. He is single-handedly carrying this Pittsburgh team on defense and on offense because he has the highest batting percentage.
What he does is he is so good at anticipating plays and reading what's going to happen before it actually happens, and that's because of his connection with God. He gets the whispers, and so he knows as the Moses of third base what's going to happen, and that's why
he's an ordained baseball player.
Yes.
I'd have to agree with Finn. I think Hayes could win it, but the market's just too small. Now, just a few weeks ago, we saw the Las Vegas Aces become the first team in 21 years to win back-to-back WNBA titles. On the complete other side of that coin is the Indiana Fever, who have the best chance at getting the first pick in the 2024 WNBA draft lottery. Casey, assuming they land at 1, who should the Fever take?
Okay, it might not look great right now because of their recent loss, but they will be taking the future Charles Barkley of the WNBA, Angel Reese.
You're coming out swinging today, huh?
She has the aura. She has the presence. She is undersized like Charles Barkley was at the power forward. And I know that the Fever, they have taken forwards in their last two big picks, Alyssa Smith and Elia Boston, but they haven't been as successful. It hasn't really changed that much for the franchise. But with Angel Reese, her popularity, her presence on the floor where she can still score so many points unlike the forwards they have, and she still gets so many rebounds. She's so tough despite being undersized. She can turn that franchise around.
But the thing is, you're not giving these forwards enough time to develop on the Fever. Obviously, it's been the last two drafts that they've taken these players in. You need time to really develop into a true WNBA star. That's why I'm taking Paige Beckers as my number 1 pick. Although not as flashy or stylish as say Caitlin Clark is when it comes to stats and overall true shooting. Paige Beckers has the raw potential that a franchise like the Fever really needs in order to become successful. They need to take a gamble. They can't go on the surefire college star who's taken in NIL money all year. They need to go on someone who's determined and hungry. Plus, she had 46% from the free.
You want to talk about a WNBA ready player? Caitlin Clark puts up monster numbers in college.
I'm literally sleeping right now.
All over social media last year. Listen, 27.8 points per game last year. She's already put up 28 points in one game this year. I mean, she's a great star, and she's already ready for the WNBA.
And what did she do? And what did she do in the NCAA?
What'd she do against Angel Reese, huh?
That's what I'm saying.
What'd she do?
That's what I'm saying. Paige Beckers hasn't
game.
lost a championship game. That's all I'm saying.
Charles Barkley.
I have to agree with Finn again. I think it's Caitlin Clark and then the field, especially with Paige Beckers' injury history. Now, moving back to the hardwood, college basketball returned on Monday, and despite teams having just one game under their belt, plenty of headlines have been made this week. Jesse, the focus here is the preseason number 1 Kansas Jayhawks. Would you rather pick them or the field winning the national championship this season?
I hate to say it, Jayhawk all day. I'm telling you, this guy, Hunter Dickinson is the next generation. He's not only is he 7 foot, he's 7 foot. He's shooting over 40%.
How many basketball players are 7 foot?
A lot of them,
Yeah.
not too many, not too many. But keep in mind,
a lot of them. Oh, but not
no. Look at RMU. Look, RMU has 6'9" as their tallest guy. 7-footers are literally standing over them the entire game. Not to mention,
We're
he's
talking about
averaging.
RMU right now. We're talking about Kansas.
I'm telling you
Kansas.
how much better this guy is.
You know who I want to talk about? Michigan State Spartans, baby.
I'm bored.
I'm green.
Listen,
Sleep.
Listen, they may have had a rough game to start the year. I'm a little concerned about their three.
That's a bold pick, losing to James
Really is.
Madison.
Their
You think-
three-point percentage, but they have the offense. AJ Hogart and Tyson Walker are great. They're so dynamic, and you can't top it. I don't care. I don't care if they had one bad
You know what
game.
my pick has? USC. You know what they have?
What do they have,
have the
Casey?
#1 recruit in the country, Isaiah Collier,
Don't
point
care.
guard.
I don't care.
One of the best probably the best passer in the nation. Could be the very best #1 overall pick in the NBA draft. And in a few months, Bronny James will be back. The NCAA has yet to experience the James genetics in their play. They will be shocked when they see Bronny James on the court.
You're acting like Bronny James is going to do anything better. Like, he was the number 19th recruit out there. He's nothing special, and I really think Hunter
He's
Dickinson.
nothing
only special
special.
because he's connected to LeBron James.
what
No
I'm
one
saying.
cares if
That's
his
what I'm
name
saying.
is
Nepotism.
He is
Nepotism
going
at
If
its
his name was
finest.
Casey
He's
Earlwine,
going
no
to
one would
be. He's going to
care.
be the next Jrue Holiday. You watch. Bronny James is going to take over the NCAA.
I think the field is an easy pick there. Nobody mentioned Duke or Purdue, especially with Zach Edey returning. Now, moving on to a topic that always gets heated, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Offensive coordinator Matt Canada has taken plenty of criticism from fans this year, but he moved from the coach's box to the sideline for the Steelers' Week 9 win over Tennessee, and it appears he'll be there this weekend when they take on the Packers. Casey, does being on the sideline improve Canada's ability as an OC?
Well, I would like to tell you all about a word. You know, I'm sure you two know. I would like to tell you all, though. Of
course.
Aura. Matt Canada's aura is making the Steelers offense go to a new level. That's why he was up there. He was giving
Go
the
to
other
your level of awfulness.
Yeah, no, he was giving the other teams a chance because if he was down the field, his aura is too strong. The way that he just reflects onto the field, the offense, they're running the ball well. They started running the ball. Najee Harris had an 11-yard touchdown.
Wow, 11 yards.
We haven't seen that in so long around this city. It's not great, I will admit. There were a lot of so bad drives, but it's better. He can talk with Pickett one-on-one. Tomlin can yell in his face when he eventually messes up.
To Pickett in the box. It doesn't matter where he is. He's just trash, Casey. He is
Here's the thing.
One of the worst offensive
Here's the
coordinators
thing.
in the league.
I am
do you have to
really,
say, Jeff?
I am not immune to propaganda. I'm telling you, there's something different about the sideline. Eventually, they're going to move Matt Canada to a completely different state. He's going to be on an iPad through a Zoom call. He's going to be calling plays, and they're going to get up to 25 points.
No.
Consider this.
I think the next time
he gets above 20 points. Isn't that crazy?
No, I think they'll put him in the Goodyear blimp as it floats over.
That's what I'm
Acrisure
telling you. The
Stadium.
aura is just going to keep going until eventually the Steelers fans realize that they're getting sold snake oil. And I don't know
the witch magic Matt Canada can perform on the sideline.
The witch magic to make your team awful.
to lead us to another, only one game above 500 series.
When
Like, wow.
that digit says 3-0 on the scoreboard, it'll be unbelievable.
I don't think it matters where Canada stands. I think his play calling needs to improve nonetheless. But we're going to keep the NFL talk going. The AFC overall feels deeper than usual this year. Specifically, the AFC North, which is all of a sudden a super hyper-competitive division with every team sitting at 5-3 or better. Jesse, who comes out of the AFC North on top?
I do have to agree with KP. It is not only hyper competitive, it is super hyper competitive. And I think
Super
the Bengals
hyper.
I think the Bengals have a really good chance. I think they're the most complete team out of all of them. They're also the most healthy team. Like, they have a relatively tough schedule moving forward. They do play the Chiefs later this year, but I mean, Burrow is still up against the Chiefs all the time. I think someone like Joe Burrow can take this second half of the season push and just go all the way to win this division. Plus, if you really think that any of the other teams are going to stay healthy for the rest of the season, I think you're just insane.
Well, that's funny that you mentioned health because my pick is the Baltimore Ravens. Listen, I think that the Bengals are the best team in that division. However, I think the 7-2 Ravens just have too big of a lead over the division, and I think that the Bengals, they just don't have enough oomph.
Joe Burrow's already infected you. He's already in your head.
Yeah,
Joe Shiesty's
clearly what hasn't
already thinking
infected
about it.
you is Steelers Nation because
Steeler
the Pittsburgh
Nation.
Pittsburgh Steelers just got Cam Hayward back. Just got Deontay Johnson back.
They have sideline Matt Canada now.
Sideline
Yeah.
Matt Canada.
Matt Canada, awful.
Minka and Muth
Kenny
on the way
Pickett,
back.
man. George Pickens,
All these other. Whoa, George Pickens, man. We're talking about he's the most talented receiver in the NFL right now.
Whoa,
Let's hear about that.
You called me a homer a few weeks ago. You're homing right now.
Let's hear about that, okay? The Steelers, they may not be the best at passing. They're not good at passing.
They're not good at passing. They're not good at running. They're not good at anything, Casey.
Yeah, they might not be good at anything, but you know what they are good at? Winning football games. And what's the point of this league? Winning football games. And
Barely.
I know we
They're
talk about all
barely
these other
good.
teams. We don't have to talk about the Browns. It's a sorry franchise.
it's over. It's
And
over.
The Steelers own all those sorry franchises, so that's why they'll win.
Not mentioning the Browns, who are also 5-3 and have a really good defense, seems like a mistake to me. Speaking of the AFC, a team that had high expectations that has disappointed so far this season is the Buffalo Bills. After losing to the Bengals on Sunday night, the Bills sit at 5-4. Finn, I know you're from Buffalo. With still a pretty tough schedule ahead, do you think the Bills make the playoffs?
You know, I'm really 50-50 on it. I think they could just squeak in. They're not going to be a top seed like they usually are. Not going to be a top seed like they should be.
Boo, be firm in a take.
Cop out.
Fine, I'll give you a firm take. I don't think they're going to make it. They're bad. And you know what? Ken Dorsey is ruining this franchise, which I have some thoughts on him for you later. But this defense is injured to all heck and back. There's literally an XFL defense out there. I don't see how they can. I don't see how they can make the playoffs with this.
What
this
kind of
state their team.
Buffalonian are you?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you have to take some regional pride. Casey knows that the Steelers aren't going to make it to the playoffs. But he's willing to stand on it. He's willing to stand on it.
Casey's the biggest
You can't.
homer I've ever seen.
The Steelers aren't making playoffs, but first off, the
See,
Bills.
exactly. There's the level of delusionality here. You need to adopt
I'm
that
a realist.
towards a better
I'm a
team.
realist.
It's a better team overall in a weaker division. Like, you can take, like, it's still the Jets. At the end of the day, they still have a good defense.
Yeah,
Still have
they
Sauce
lost
Gardner.
to the Jets.
In the first game of the season,
the
and they've
Bills-
since won more than
They
they've lost.
might have to play the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Chargers, and the Dolphins still. But they have Josh Allen, and if they just kind of let him cook.
Josh Allen, who isn't allowed to cook with Ken Dorsey.
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing. You have to adopt that. They still have the belief. They still have the NFL probably behind their backs. You really think that DeMar
You really
Hamlin's not
think
going
the
to make the
refs are going to allow you to not make it to the playoffs?
First of all, we don't even talk about how the refs are just bad. That's a whole other conversation.
Does Gabe Davis not move you?
Gabe Davis
Stephon
he
Diggs
doesn't
not
move
move
anything.
you?
He had 0 receptions the other game.
Oh, my goodness.
Never had a Buffalo wing, by the way.
Despite all of the Bills' struggles, they still only sit one game behind the Dolphins for the division. Now, moving on to the NHL, we need to talk about the team with the worst record by a fair margin right now, the San Jose Sharks. Now, the Sharks finally got their first win of the season last night over the Philadelphia Flyers and now sit with a 1-10-1 record. Finn, will the Sharks end up as the worst NHL team ever?
Listen, as a team that had to endure the Sabres' 12-year playoff drought, the San Jose Sharks are the worst team I have ever seen be put on the ice. I've played on some pretty bad teams myself being a hockey player, but man, the Sharks don't have defense. Plus minus isn't the best stat to use, but it's a simple stat. Not a single player is plus, which means you've been on more goals for than against. Their coach is a literal buffoon. He's the bumbling buffoon of the league. He has never had a competent team. He can't coach these guys. These are a young team. They're obviously trying to be back. But this is unexcusable.
You got it.
I'm just trying to tell you guys, the San Jose Sharks they're playing a different game than the rest of us. See, they see the one thing that they have, which is most losses in an NHL season, and they want to break that record. They want to go for the worst winning
They're trying
percentage.
to beat themselves.
Exactly. They're trying to get that least winning season of all time and hang it in the rafters. They want to stake their claim on being bad. They want to be bad.
I've never been so convinced of there being relegation in a major American sport than with the San Jose Sharks. It's unbelievable. They have to be punished for this atrocity. Why should people have to watch this? I looked up the prices for their game tomorrow night in San Jose against the Edmonton Oilers, who might be bad, but it's still Connor McDavid, Draisaitl. You want to see that? Tickets are going for $19.
And their fans aren't showing up either, which
More than that.
they're showing that they don't want to show up to this god-awful franchise.
I mean, how much was Erik Karlsson doing? Because apparently he was doing.
He was the only duct tape holding this thing together.
I wouldn't even call it duct tape. I'd call it like a sticky note, maybe some just Elmer's glue. That was probably it.
They're only on pace for 7 wins, so it's going to be a long season in San Jose. Now, moving on to the NBA, their season has been underway for a couple of weeks now, and it hasn't taken long for LeBron James to make headlines. After a 120-101 loss to the Orlando Magic on Saturday, James spoke to the media and one quote stuck out above the rest. Jesse, what are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts? That's a great question.
What are your thoughts on LeBron's quote?
So for those of you who don't know, basically LeBron compared themselves and the Lakers to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And basically saying that they're not scoring very well, they're not doing very much, but they're still like pretty much even. They're still like barely in the race. And it's a really apt comparison. So far the Lakers are what, 3-4?
Yeah.
Like 4-4. They're in a very, very competitive Western Conference. Like these wins early on against teams that are supposed to be towards the worst end of the Eastern Conference, like you need to be able to capitalize, especially against teams like the Orlando Magic and the Miami Heat. And overall, their defense is what they're trying to use to get there. They have like, just like the Steelers with TJ Watt, they have Anthony Davis, who's averaging like over 2 blocks a game right now. Like their defense is what's trying to win them games, but it can only go so far without the lack of scoring.
Yeah, and I mean, they kind of play like the Steelers too. If you think
Exactly.
about it. They're down going into the second half, and they when they win, they mount a comeback and they get it. And this is exactly the Steelers. So
I just can't. With all due respect, never associate Austin Reeves with the Pittsburgh Steelers ever again. These teams are not alike. The Steelers actually win these games. They don't cry to the league about fouls.
Yeah, and the Lakers actually get to the playoffs. The Lakers actually get to the Western Conference Finals.
Unlike Anthony Davis, TJ Watt would not leave the game because his groin was feeling funny, okay? Mike Tomlin is an actual coach. Darvin Ham doesn't do anything except draw up corner 3 plays for Cam Reddish with the game on the line, okay? These teams are not alike. LeBron, I don't even know what he was talking. I see his football takes, and I think he just looks up Google real quick when he does them. I don't get it. I mean, I can kind of see something there, but it's embarrassing, to be honest, to be compared to the Lakers right now. I don't like it.
It did not take LeBron long to make it into the NBA headlines. Now, another player that never seems to take a break from being in headlines is James Harden. After a turbulent tenure with the 76ers, Harden was involved in a blockbuster trade involving...
And Tyrese Maxey has awoken since James Harden has left. He's blowing past his old numbers. He's had 25 points per game this season. He's doubled his assists up to 7. He's got 4 rebounds. He is incredible without James Harden. You've got now one of the biggest, most underrated additions in the offseason, Tsunami Papi. Kelly Oubre, he is going off. And Embiid can just play his game now. He doesn't have to worry about James Harden. He's just going, even if I don't like Embiid's game personally, it is much better without James Harden. It's a kid.
And you have to mention Tobias Harris too. You have 4 different people who are over 20 points per game for the Sixers squad. Not to mention the fact that they have so much draft capital right now that they can go out and get themselves another All-Star player. Zach LaVine, you are a Philadelphia 76er.
Look,
Welcome to the city of brotherly love.
Yes. I want to add to Casey's point, addition by subtraction. We all know he was a cancer in the locker room. We can't sugarcoat it. You get that negative energy out of that locker room, and look how they're playing. They're 5-1. They're putting up loads of points, buttloads of points per game, and these lesser players are being allowed to shine now,
and not
because
to mention,
they don't have this negative energy in the locker room.
Their new coach, Nick Nurse, he was known really well for his defense up in Toronto, and right now Joel Embiid is anchoring one of the best defenses in the entire NBA as well.
Any team that doesn't have James Harden on it shoots up the boards, in my opinion. Now, when we come back, the panel will be discussing all things RMU sports, including the football team's upset win, who is women's basketball's X factor, and could the men's team win the Horizon League? Stay tuned for that discussion here on Sports Talk in the Burgh.
That's CHC. Women's basketball.
Found my heart out there in the open. Streets make you feel smaller. Can't help but get lost again. If I need
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. RMU football pulled off a stunning upset this past weekend, beating Southeast Missouri 21-20. The Colonials were 28-point underdogs in the game. Jesse, did the win over Southeast Missouri make this season a success?
I don't think that it's this exact win that makes this season a success, but I feel like any step forward from where the football team was last season is a step in the right direction. I mean, going from 0-11 to what now, 3-6? That's a step in the right direction. Like, you see the growth happening within this RMU football team. Anthony Chickett is looking like a stellar quarterback across the board. He's still putting up numbers. And, like, getting a road win, which is the first time that they've done something like that since 2019.
Yeah, 4 years.
It's been a very long time. And not to mention the offensive jump. Last time, they were held to single-digit points 6 times. And now they're consistently scoring over double-digit points every game.
Yeah.
You can see that this season is a success, even if you don't have a winning record.
And I want to more point that it's a step in the right direction. I personally wouldn't use the word success. Obviously, you're still trying to figure things out. And I think that we can see that they are. Like you said with Chickett, with Noah Robinson, they're a dynamic duo. Their defense needs to step up better. They've been blown out a few times, and their run game needs to be built up a little more.
Me personally, I don't really see it as a success pretty much at all. It's hard for me to ever call such a losing season a success. They're going to lose Chickett at QB. They'll have to figure that out. They still don't really compete in most games. They can't run the ball. They can't defend the run. They're getting outgained in the run game by about 60 yards each game, and I don't see this win bringing in a bunch of recruits, so I can't really call it a success.
3 wins already, and the first road win since 2019. I'm going to call it a success. For the second straight year, though, the women's basketball team defeated St. Francis in their season opener. 9 different Colonials scored points in the 61-50 win over the Red Flash. Finn, who will be the X factor for the women's basketball team this season?
I went with Naomi Barnwell. I think her coming in to the school as a transfer, getting a new voice, getting new experience in the locker room and on the court, I think that will be good. She put up 8.7 points last year. 5.1 rebounds. I mean, she's a good player. She's not going to be flashy like Rebecca Dolomo or anyone else on the basketball team, but I think she will be a good addition.
Yeah, I do think that's a good point. However, I do think the core of this RMU basketball team is Danny Vuletic. There is something that is so needed when it comes to rebounding the ball. Fun fact, the more you have the ball, the better your chances are at winning.
That's a great
and
point.
Rebounds give you more chances at having the ball. And getting 10 rebounds and 4 blocks in their opener shows how impactful Vuletic is to this offense and defense.
Me personally, sophomore Luella Alana, you know, she's the starting point guard now, and she's only 5'4", but she's super tough, plays super hard. Finn, she would beat you up. She had only 6 points.
Is that necessary?
It was.
No hate.
It's just true. It's just showing her
true.
toughness, her mentality, and she would just, and she goes off in these games. She only had 6 points in 23 minutes in their first game, but she will improve, especially once she starts getting higher in the steals category. So she's from Quebec. So mattering how the French genes are, she could be the next Tony Parker.
People have been saying this. People have been saying this.
Yeah, it's going around. We just might see from Luella Alana.
I'd have to agree with Jesse. I think size is really important in basketball when it comes to rebounding. Now, although the men's basketball team opened with the season with a loss on the road to Xavier, this is the second straight game, counting the charity exhibition against Penn State, where the Colonials have played a Power 6 opponent well. Casey, fact or fiction, men's basketball wins the Horizon League?
Fact. I mean, what are we talking about here? The Horizon League has no idea what's sleeping here
100%.
in Moon Township. They've played 2 very competitive games against top-tier teams in the nation. I saw Penn State, who were in the round of 32 in the tournament last year, and they were full court pressing against the Robert Morris Colonials with 8 minutes left with all their starters out there. People are scared of this team.
Listen. I think they're a very good team. But I don't think they have what it takes to win in the regular season, the Horizon League. We need more consistency from this team. This team is very boomer bust. Justice Williams was great. Josh Corbin is a very boomer bust player. I'd like to see more consistency to him. TJ Rainwright coming in needs to mold into the role that they can.
And
they
what you're
believe they
touching
can
on here with the guards, I do think there's a huge issue with the length on these guards. They're still on the shorter end when it comes to the Horizon League. A lot of the guards that you're seeing in other Horizon League teams, 6'3", 6'4", even upwards of 6'5". Us, we're the RMU team is closer to about 6'2", 6'3", and I really think that could be both a detriment on defense and offense.
See you in Indianapolis.
When we come back, the guys will be giving their final takes. Stay tuned here on Sports Talk in the Burgh.
The death of George Floyd, who died in police custody Monday night.
Turning my pain into purpose is pretty much what I have done to start this foundation. It's going to take more than just us, you know, as a foundation. It's going to take the community, the world, to help us make a change, because it just can't be us.
Found my heart out there in the open. Trees make you feel smaller. Can't help but get lost again. If I need a break, know where I'm going. Where the water's flowing, I'd rather be floating. If it's something that can count on to be free.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. It's now time for the guys' final takes. Jesse, you're up first.
Over the summer, the NBA was shaken to the core when the Golden State Warriors decided to take on a change, this time adding Chris Paul, whose contract belonged to the Washington Wizards. In order to get the point guard, they offered a young star who wanted to shoot the ball and impress the ladies, one Jordan Anthony Poole. Now the Wizards are relying on Poole and Lakers legend Kyle Kuzma to lead them to victory. And with both of them already in possession of a championship ring and a max contract, they are only there to get buckets and get baddies. This has led to the most hilarious basketball team of all time. I mean alley-oops for the fans when they're down 20 points. I mean dribbling all the way to the three-point line from 20 feet out, even though there was an open layup, only for that shot to get blocked. This, it is the most hilarious thing I have ever seen. And with the Wizards only having very few draft picks coming up in the next few years, the Wizards might be stuck at this pool party for a very long time.
The famed six-time NBA champion Chicago Bulls, the team with all-stars such as DeRozan, Levine, Vucevic, and their white boy swagger Caruso. Well, guess what? Blow it up. Zach LaVine, you are a New York Knick. DeMar DeRozan, you are a Los Angeles Laker. Nikola Vucevic, you will be starting your Duolingo classes tomorrow because it's time to learn Chinese. You're going to the Guangdong Tigers. The Bulls are in 12th place right now in the NBA, in the Eastern Conference, and are a complete dead zone. They're bad right now. They have no future thanks to the Nikola Vucevic trade. They could have had Tyrese Halliburton, but instead drafted Patrick Williams, who reportedly wants a $200 million contract. Who are you, bro? The cartilage in Lonzo Ball's knee is basically a fruit roll-up at this point. Billy Donovan is a completely useless coach, and I'm positive Andy Toole would do more with this roster. It's time for a reboot because the franchise must do everything possible to avoid another Denzel Valentine era.
Steelers fans, you need to stop saying Matt Canada is the worst offensive coordinator in their league when it's clearly Ken Dorsey. Ken Dorsey is ruining Josh Allen's best seasons, and calling Bills fans are sitting at 5-4, coming against losing to teams that they should beat. Yeah, sure, their defense is injured, but they have one of the best. They should have one of the best offenses in the league, with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs being a dynamic duo, and they can't do anything because of what Ken Dorsey is doing.
All right, next week is our 100th episode. I tell you guys what, you will not want to miss a thing. Stay tuned right here at Sports Talk in the Burgh. We'll see you next week.